Instagram.
Whoop, and Facebook.
And Facebook. We're about 2 minutes late. Dang it. Well,
we got talking.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Live with Kate Semmens, Dean Nixon, TurningLeaf Wellness Center out of St. George, Utah. Man, it is such a great time of year.
Yes.
We start getting into those spring. I'm excited.
I was just thinking it's a good thing you always wear your TurningLeaf polos so that when we're on live, we can see.
Right here. Simple branding.
This is
there
where
it
we
is.
are.
Yes, so in case people wonder. Well, we're excited to be with you tonight and to get into our topic for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some good things. Last week, we talked about our Instagram giveaway.
That's the word we're looking for.
Couldn't even say it. Our Instagram giveaway. And so if you're looking for that, go to our Instagram, the TurningLeaf Wellness Center Instagram. That's where you're going to find that information. It's 2 seats in the upcoming Level 1 seminar. So super stoked about that. Super excited.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been wanting to get into that seminar and be a part of that process. It is such a powerful experience. So make sure you check that out.
Right. And if you're searching for us, it's TurningLeaf Inc. on Instagram. So that's how you can find us. Go friend us, follow us, do all that good stuff, and search for that post. And you could win potentially. We draw next week, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We announce the winner next week.
We got one more week, I believe. So I'm excited to get to our topic tonight. Our topic tonight is really it's about parenting.
Yes.
And the thing that's important. So even though some people are like, oh, parenting, well, it has nothing to do with me. Maybe I don't have kids yet, or my kids are gone. But
not this topic.
Not this topic?
Mm-mm.
Tell me why.
Because I think that, what we're going to be talking about today is enabling. And we're going to specify about as a parent when we enable, but any relationship you have that you're enabling in, you're going to be doing some damage to it. So,
right. Yes, and it's so interesting to think that the enabling piece because it isn't just a issue between parent and child, but yes, we are going to be really using that as the key metaphor or example for it. But enabling happens on so many levels. And even in the addiction recovery aspect of things, that's where a big part of enabling lies.
A huge part of it.
Yes.
So why don't we start at the very beginning, Dean?
Okay.
Let's define what enabling is.
So I love using this definition because in my mind, it creates a lot of clarity around what definition about what enabling is. It's a simple understanding of enabling. And this is how it goes. If you are doing something for someone that they are more than capable of doing for themselves, then you are enabling.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. And it's simple, clear. It helps you understand. Okay, if I'm doing something for somebody that they're more than capable of doing, then I'm enabling.
Okay, I like it. So let's now, with the topic of between a parent and a child, right? We've just discussed how we're going to take that angle on enabling, particularly tonight.
Yes.
So this one's tricky.
It is.
As a parent.
Yes.
Because I feel like, A, we like to be the superhero when we're a parent.
Yep.
Right? And B, it's really difficult for us to watch our children suffer.
Yes.
That's a hard emotional wave to deal with.
It is. It is hard to watch our kids suffer. I know from my own experience as a father, watching your kids progress and to watch them grow, it's hard. But we have to remember that it's through adversity that we grow. It's not through enabling that we grow. All enabling does is it creates the path of least resistance for our children and or employees or spouse or partner or friend. And whenever we do that behavior, we create that path of least resistance. We take away all the roadblocks. We take away all the obstacles, and we make it easier. By doing so, in a lot of ways, we emotionally cripple our children. We emotionally cripple our loved one. We emotionally cripple our employee or whoever it may be. We emotionally cripple them because they never have to deal with the emotional discomfort that comes from the challenges of life.
Right. I remember a coaching session that you and I were having a few months back now. It's been a little while, but I'm a recovering enabler myself.
As am I.
And that was so powerful for me when you and I had that conversation about how I'm actually damaging and crippling the growth and the progression of the person that really I just love. Like we don't really enable those that we don't love, right? These are people that we really care about.
Right.
So that was like, oh my goodness, a game changer for me in my brain.
Yeah. And that's
to think of it like that.
It's such an important aspect and I always go back to the metaphor of the chick in the egg. And when I was a kid, my dad and family, we got little eggs and we did the little hatching and the little incubating and all of that type of stuff. And I remember how much, as soon as that chick started pecking at that egg, I wanted to really peel that egg back.
You wanted to help.
And I wanted to help.
So
and there were
cute.
2 reasons I wanted to help. Number one, I wanted to help because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see the chick now. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait for them to break out of that. I wanted that immediate payoff. And I think as parents, we do that in a lot of ways too.
Absolutely.
We want to see them happy now. We want to see them get what they're working so hard. Oh, they're working so hard towards something. So I'll just kind of make it easier. I'll give it to them early because I want to experience that joy. I want to experience that. And I remember that thinking, oh, I just want to see that and be happy and fulfilled. But it was all about me at that point. And the second thing was my father was like, no, don't do that, because if you do, it will die. And it's the adversity of the chick breaking through the egg that creates the strength in the neck and the strength in the body that allows that chick to have the capacity to, once it's hatched, continue to survive. And then that was such a powerful metaphor for me. And I was like, wow, that is mind blowing. But that's how it is with our children too.
Right. It's a perfect metaphor for enabling. That was genius. Good job. Good job, buddy.
Thanks. Thanks, Dad.
So where is the accountability of the parent when it comes to helping our child navigate life, but not enable them, right?
Yes. And there is a level of accountability on our part, and there's a level of an accountability on their part. Okay. And again, going back, this applies to more than just kids, but we're using this metaphor. So with our children, where it really lies is when a person becomes capable of doing something, that's when we have to step back and give them accountability for it. We need to give them stewardship over it. And I see this a lot with the self-soothing. Mm-hmm. So here's an example. I see it a lot in self-soothing. A lot of times parents have a hard time with the emotional distress that it causes them to see their children emotionally distressed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I do see it a lot. I'm not saying this to point anybody out or point fingers or guilt load anybody, so please don't go there.
No, I see it a ton in my work too, with the crisis.
It's crazy to see. Sometimes I'll go to like the grocery store, Walmart or convenience store, and I see a child upset or bored or unhappy. And so the parent has taken their phone, turned it on, found something, and put it in front of them. Now we're seeing all sorts of things come out of that mess because kids are clicking on and being exposed to other things. It's a real big, monster that we're still trying to get a hold of.
Right.
But the part that worries me the most is the child's not learning to self-soothe themselves because now they're bored. Well, let me give you something to keep you from not being bored. And we're immediately creating a dependency. So that child's not learning to self-soothe, to not learning to look around and to engage and to allow themselves to be okay in this space. But they have to have something in front of them to stream or entertain, immediately release that tension or stress. That in and of itself, the long-term ramifications of that, we're barely scratching the surface on. And a lot of parents now, as I get them coming in, are sitting down and they're frustrated because they're like, I don't know, my kid, he does struggles in school. We think he has ADD. We think that she's, got these deeper issues and all these things. And a lot of them are, well, did your child ever learn to self-soothe? Did your child ever learn to be okay not being okay?
I love it because that goes right back to your chicken and the egg analogy too. Like that immediate gratification is so huge in our world.
Right.
Whereas for them to have to go and build a dirt castle out of dirt. Like, that's not immediate. Like, that's an afternoon of an activity.
Right.
Is this a good activity? Shout out to Brian Regan.
Brian Regan.
So I love, that's a really good example.
Yes. Yes. And I love a comment just came in from Angie on Facebook. But there are other shoppers that don't want to hear the kid cry. Okay, fair enough. So you are being of service, I suppose.
I did see this meme the other day, though, on Instagram that was Katniss Everdeen at the Hunger Games when she's doing this, right? Yeah. And it said, when you see another mom struggling with their tantruming toddler in the grocery store, it's like a tribute. So we all get it. That's the thing, too.
We do. And I think a lot of parents, especially myself, I love watching the parent that's wrestling with the tantruming toddler. It brings me joy. I know that sounds horrible, but what I look at is I think now, first of all, parent, you need to know I got your back. I support you. I support what you're doing. I know it's hard. It's difficult. But secondly, what they're doing is they're doing that concept that came from a friend of mine, that hard easy instead of the easy hard. We get into that easy hard concept where we do it the easy way and then things get hard.
Oh, like 14 and 15?
14, 15,
then
16. It gets super hard. It's like, well, you let me do it here, you let me do it there. And that's where it gets easy hard. It's the same way in so many different principles we can apply it. But if we do the hard up front, then things get easy. The hard easy is so much more powerful than the easy hard.
You're right. We can apply that into so many different aspects of life.
Yes.
So particularly right now, talking about enabling children.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. Children, employees, spouses, partners. It is important. So looping back to your question, it's the accountability piece. Our solution is, what are they capable of doing? What is their capacity? Do they have the capacity to dress themselves? If the answer is yes, then allow them to dress themselves.
And you might get some stellar outfits. I love that so much, actually.
Yes, I wrote about that in the Value-Based Parenting Manual. So we just did the Value-Based Parenting workshop this last weekend. It was so amazing. And so we'll have one coming up in the future. But I wrote about that very thing when we talk about enabling in the parenting handbook is it's okay if your kids walk out and you are repulsed by the patterns and the colors and all of that coming together. That's okay. But what we have to do is we have to say, okay, what are they accountable for? If a child is capable or accountable of self-soothing, then we need to let them. In other words, for example, a child going to sleep in their own bed at night. And this is one I see parents really struggle with. They start out letting the child sleep in their bed. Next thing you know, it's 3 years old, or the next child comes along, then they get booted to the next room. And the problem is that the child isn't learning to self-soothe. They're not learning to cry themselves to sleep. And it creates a lot of insecurity in the child when they're not learning to do that. So the sooner that you can transition a child into their room, the sooner you can transition them into their own bed, the sooner they start learning to self-soothe, which gives them that accountability piece.
Right. And that's the hard, easy route. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's difficult to listen to a child cry themselves to sleep. It's emotionally uncomfortable for us as a parent.
Yes.
But the benefit in the long run is huge.
Absolutely. There's a question from Caleb. And so on Facebook, she says, what about split parents? And I love this. I love this question because it is a challenge when you have, when you're parenting in different homes. A lot of times what I see parents do I call it polarized parenting, where you have maybe one home that's very permissive and one home that's very restrictive, is the other home is always trying to compensate for the other home instead of just doing your own thing. It's that concept. When I coach water polo with our girls water polo team, actually was also this last weekend, which was shout out to my girls. They did really good. But when we get into the water polo game, the other team is always trying to pull you into their game, into their strategy. So if you play their game, you fall into what they want. But if you focus on your game and you play your game, then they can't change what you're doing. You're more apt to score the points you want. Now, not that you're playing a game with the other parent, but it's still the same philosophy.
Sure. It makes sense.
You have to focus on what's going on in your home. Be consistent in your home. If it's not the same consistency in the other home, you can't feed into that. You can only control what you can control. And so the enabler, maybe you've got a parent in the other home that's enabling, or another parent in the other home. I do have an example of a family I'm working with where one parent is allowing the children to sleep in the bed. And then when they go to the other home, then the children just expect to sleep in the bed with the other parent. And the other parent in the other home won't. And they're standing their ground on it. And it's a battle. But the cool part is that the more that parent stands their ground, that eventually those children will start to become more confident in that home. They'll become more confident and boundary oriented and respect oriented over time, where the permissive one is going to create more of a long-term problem.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question.
So we've talked about the accountability piece as far as the parent is concerned with enabling.
Right.
Now let's talk about the accountability with the kids. What accountability that puts into their court.
Well, the accountability for the child is to learn how to consistently learn how to move themselves forward. And so the goal of a parent is to help them understand why they're doing what they're doing. So as we talk to them about it, we're not like, I'm doing this because you're this or you're that. We're talking to them along the lines of, the reason that we're doing this is so that you can learn how to overcome this. You need to understand. The reason we struggle as parents is because we don't want our children to be upset with us. We don't want them to blame us. We've all heard the horror stories. We've all told the horror stories about our parents. But the reality is, I don't care how great you are as a parent. Your kid's going to tell horror stories.
They're going to have their stories.
Yes. So stop worrying about what they're going to be upset with you about when they're 25 and start parenting from today. And then the child needs to understand what they're accountable for and what they're capable of doing. So as a parent, it's that energy of, I'm putting them in their own bed and they're freaking out. It's like, you're going to be okay. You know how to do this. You can do this. And I reaffirm. I go get in bed. They come to my bed. I pick them up. I put them back in their bed. I may do that all night for 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, the hard, easy is over.
Yeah. And I like how you say reaffirm, like reminding them, like, I have all the confidence in the world in you.
Yes.
You can do this. Like being their cheerleader will also help them become a lot more successful.
Oh, it's super important. And as we do that, we start to instill in them a level of confidence, a level of belief in their capacity. That's what we're working to do, is we're working to build a confident, grounded child. And what we're seeing now from a lot of our enabling behaviors, we're seeing a lot of young men and women that are having a hard time getting out on their own. And they're having a hard time understanding the difference between consequences. So this cause and effect issue that they're struggling with, because they never really had cause and effect in their lives. They never learned that if I do this, then I suffer this consequence because somebody stepped in and did it. So for example, there's a huge debate over there, and I'll just come straight at you. I am not a participation trophy guy. I'm not. And the reason why I'm not a participation trophy guy is because my child needs to learn how to want to achieve in life. Now, I'm not this person where I think you've got to whip your kids into being successful, but I'm also not a big proponent of just patting a kid on the back and saying, you don't have to try. You're always a winner to me. Well, they are always a winner to you, but they need to learn how to put energy and effort into moving forward.
Right.
But if all I ever do is give them a participation trophy, then when they go get a job, they just expect a paycheck because they showed up. Well, okay. I don't want my kid to think all they have to do is show up and get a paycheck, because in the world we live in, that's not how it works. If you don't do your job, they'll find somebody that will replace you to do your job. And so what we're finding is kids are going out into the workforce and they're expected to work. and they're not getting a paycheck just because they have, the logo of their company on their shirt, and then they quit. And so they're having a hard time getting back out
lots
there.
Of job turnover.
A lot of it.
And another piece of that is that we're not teaching them how to manage a loss, right? Like how to take an L.
Yep. And sometimes we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm looking at the clock. We're already at 20 minutes. We have had a lot of great conversation. That went quick.
We're going to have to loop back to this topic sometime soon, because we probably could talk about it for days.
So thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interactions and comments. As always, thank you for tuning in. This has been just awesome. Thank you for all the support. Thanks, Kate, for getting us to go live. All these.
You're welcome.
Man, we're almost short of a year here.
Yeah, we're coming up close.
So thank you all.
So really quick here at the end, some calendar items to put on your calendar, because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up for you in the spring. First and foremost, our level 2 seminar. Discernment is coming up here in just like a few weeks. Yes. I am so excited. Level 2. I mean, I don't have favorite seminar, but level 2 is my favorite seminar. Don't tell the rest of the seminars that, okay?
Yeah, don't get jealous.
Yeah, maybe we can teach them how to be a little bit more resilient. But that's March 21st through the 23rd. So give us a call, 652-1202, to get registered for that. We also have, at the end of this month, the 30th, which is a Saturday, we're going to do a workshop on communication and connection, which is going to be awesome.
Yes.
So I'll get that posted on Facebook so you can read a little bit more about what that workshop's going to look like. But once again, that's March 30th. Just want to give you guys a heads up to get stuff in your calendar. Then April 11th through the 13th is our next level 1 seminar. We know there's lots of you out there that have been like, kind of biting it, getting in the next level 1. So that's when that's going to be. And then we're also at the very end of April going to have a workshop that's going to be a women's only workshop. And
I'm excited.
I'm doing this one.
Yes, you are.
I'm so excited.
I am so excited too, because this is our year, the year of empowering the women, the year of empowering women.
Yes.
And specifically to be free.
Yep.
So we are stoked in being a part of that.
Yep. And also Dean's been working on a pretty cool thing that hopefully we can announce next week.
Yes, it should be complete.
Talk about empowering women to be free.
Yes.
So teaser, join us next Monday Night Live.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good night.